What is a defining moment? Killing your own son. Destroying your enemy. Changing all the rules for love. What was the defining moment for Suleiman, celebrated as the Magnificent by his adversaries and revered as a lawgiver by his people? Bayezid had 8 sons, but only Ahmed, Korkut and Salim survived him. Selim was the youngest and furthest away from the capital. Bayezid, who was reluctant to continue his rule over the empire, announced Ahmed as heir apparent to the throne. Angered by this announcement, Selim rebelled, and while he lost the first battle against his father's forces, Selim ultimately dethroned his father. He became the Sultan. Korkut accepted his brother's reign. Nevertheless, distrustful Selim decided to test his loyalty by sending him fake letters that encouraged him to take part in a rebellion. From Korkut's reaction, Selim thought he was planning to revolt and had him killed in 1513. His other brother Ahmed still controlled some of Anatolia in the first months of Selim's rule. At last, Selim and Ahmed fought near Bursa. Selim's forces won. Ahmed was caught and killed soon after. Selim's brief yet impactful 8-year rule is distinguished by the vast territorial growth of the empire. His most remarkable achievement was the annexation of the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt between 1516 and 1517, which brought the Levant, Hejaz, Tihama and Egypt under Ottoman control. By 1520, the eve of his demise, the empire had expanded to approximately 3.4 million square kilometers, marking a 70% increase during his tenure. Selim's successful campaigns in the core regions of the Muslim world, especially his role as protector of the pilgrimage paths to Mecca and Medina, solidified the Ottoman Empire's status as the foremost Islamic power. A planned campaign westward was cut short when Selim was overwhelmed by sickness and subsequently died in the 9th year of his reign, aged 49. Despite the length of his reign, Selim prepared the Ottoman Empire to reach its zenith under the reign of his son and successor, Suleiman the Magnificent. Suleiman began his reign with campaigns against the Christian powers in Central Europe and the Mediterranean. Belgrade fell to him in 1521 and the island of Rhodes in 1522. King Louis II of Hungary married Mary of Habsburg in 1522. The Ottomans saw this marital alliance as a threat to their power in the Balkans and worked to break it. In a watershed moment in European diplomacy, King Francis of France formed a formal alliance with Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent as an ally against the Habsburg. In 1525, Francis asked Suleiman to make war on the Holy Roman Empire, and the road from Turkey to the Holy Roman Empire led across Hungary. The request of the French king coincided well with the ambitions of Suleiman in Europe, and gave him an incentive to attack Hungary in 1526, leading to the Battle of Mohács. Louis made a tactical error when he tried to stop the Ottoman army in an open field battle with a medieval army, insufficient firearms, and obsolete tactics. The Hungarian army was surrounded by Ottoman cavalry in a pincer movement, and in the center, the Hungarian heavy knights and infantry were repulsed and suffered heavy casualties, especially from the well-positioned Ottoman cannons and well-armed and trained Janissary musketeers. Nearly the entire Hungarian royal army was destroyed in 2 hours on the battlefield. During the retreat, the 20-year-old king died when he fell backwards off his horse into a stream and drowned. Suleiman the Magnificent expressed regret at the death of his young adversary. Upon discovering King Louis's deceased body, the Sultan mourned, saying, "Indeed, I took up arms against him. Yet, it was never my desire for him to be so abruptly deprived of life's and reign's pleasures before he could barely savour them." Roxolana was a slave girl who was captured by Crimean Tatars and brought to Istanbul, the capital of the Ottoman Empire. She joined the imperial harem, where she got a new name, Hürrem, and a new destiny. She quickly rose to the top and became the most beloved consort of Sultan Suleiman. Breaking royal protocol, Suleiman made Hürrem his legal wife. It was a norm for Ottoman sultans to abandon a concubine after she bore him a son, so as not to distract her from raising a future sultan. Hürrem, however, bore him 6 children, 5 sons and 1 precious daughter. Suleiman allowed Hürrem Sultan to remain with him at court for the rest of her life, breaking another tradition. Hürrem Sultan died on the 15th of April 1558. Ibrahim was forcibly recruited in his young age and relocated to Istanbul. He was given a formal education and trained in science, warfare, and bureaucratic administration. He was one of the most talented and was taken into Suleiman's service in Manisa. They were similar age. From then on, Pagali became his close friend and advisor. When Suleiman ascended the throne, he appointed his friend Ibrahim first to the position of head of the courtiers and then chief of the falconry. Ibrahim served as the harem's gatekeeper during the Belgrade campaign. He was the head of all servants who cared for the Sultan's family during his absence. The Sultan built a small palace for his friend Ibrahim just next to Topkapi Palace. This enabled Ibrahim to increase his influence and power. Ibrahim Pasha rose to Grand Vizier in 1523 and commander-in-chief of all the armies. Suleiman also conferred upon Ibrahim Pasha the honor of Beylerbey of Rumelia, first-ranking military governor-general, granting Ibrahim authority over all Ottoman territories in Europe, as well as command of troops residing within them in times of war. This was the most authority a vizier ever had, and it was announced to public with a big ceremony. In 1533, Suleiman ordered his Pagali Ibrahim Pasha to lead an army into Asia Minor. In 1535, Suleiman and Ibrahim made a grand entrance into Baghdad. Back in Istanbul, portraying himself as the real power behind the Ottoman Empire, Ibrahim used a variety of tactics to negotiate favorable deals with the leaders of the Catholic powers. The Venetian diplomats even referred to him as Ibrahim the Magnificent, a play on Suleiman's usual sobriquet. He was called to the palace on March 5th, 1536, to talk about the foreign affairs. After he had dinner with the Sultan, he went to bed. Upon arrival to his room, he was seized and killed. Mustafa was born in 1515, Suleiman and Mahidevran's only son, who lived to be an adult. When Mustafa was 19, he was sent to Manisa as governor. the traditional position for Sultan's eldest sons, and his mother accompanied him. After 7 years in the role, Mustafa and his mother Mahidevran was sent to another province, Amasya. He was replaced by Mehmed, Hürrem's first son and Suleiman's favourite. When he arrived in Amasya, Mustafa received a letter from his father. Suleiman had assigned him to Amasya to protect the eastern border of Anatolia and to train him in ruling a vast empire, not to exclude him from the succession. The letter's content reassured the Ottoman army and the Anatolian people, who favoured Shehzada Mustafa as the next sultan. During his time in Amasya, Mustafa got the news of the death of his brother Mehmed. It seemed like all barriers between the throne and Mustafa were gone, but Hürrem's oldest surviving son was sent from Konya to Manisa instead. In 1549, as a reward for his excellent participation in the Ottoman Safavid War, Mustafa moved to Konya for his next assignment. Mustafa was meeting with foreign envoys and Ottoman generals without his father's consent, and this was used to slander him. Mustafa was summoned to join his father's army for the next Eastern campaign. When he came to his father's tent to greet him, Suleiman's guards assaulted Mustafa. He fought back, but he was eventually killed. Ferdinand was the Archduke of Austria and ruled the Austrian hereditary lands of the House of Habsburg in the name of his elder brother, Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor. He married the daughter of King of Hungary and Bohemia. After the death of his brother-in-law at the Battle of Mohács, rival factions within Hungary selected 2 successors: Archduke Ferdinand of Austria and John Zapolya. Zapolya would eventually seek aid from and become a vassal of the Ottoman Empire after Ferdinand began to take control of Western Hungary, including the city of Buda. In the spring of 1529, Suleiman mustered a large army in Ottoman Bulgaria with the aim of securing control over all of Hungary at his new borders by Ferdinand and the Holy Roman Empire. Suleiman launched his campaign on the 10th of May and faced numerous obstacles from the onset. Many large-caliber cannons and artillery pieces became hopelessly mired or bogged down, leaving Suleiman no choice but to abandon them, while camels brought from the empire's eastern provinces, not used to the difficult conditions, were lost in large numbers. When the army reached Vienna, the siege had started. Despite being outnumbered, the city's defenders were well organized and managed to repel the Ottoman attacks for 2 weeks. With supplies running low and winter approaching, Suleiman called off the siege and ordered a withdrawal to Constantinople. Suleiman would lead another campaign against Vienna in 1532, but it never truly materialized as his force was stalled during the siege of Guns on the way to Vienna. Suleiman, having been delayed nearly 4 weeks, withdrew at the arrival of the August rains and did not continue towards Vienna as he had intended, but turned homeward. Following this, Suleiman and Ferdinand concluded a 1533 Treaty of Constantinople that confirmed the right of John Zapolya as a king of all Hungary, but recognized Ferdinand's possession of some of the reoccupied territory. In January 1566, Sultan Suleiman had ruled the Ottoman Empire for 46 years and went to war for the last time. The fortress of Sigetvar was a strategic stronghold that blocked the Ottomans' line of advance towards Vienna. The siege took place from the 5th of August to the 8th of September 1566. Despite resulting in an Ottoman victory, the siege was costly for both sides and marked the end of Suleiman's life, as he died during the battle from natural causes. His Grand Vizier Sokolu Mehmed Pasha kept his death secret during the retreat for the enthronement of his son, Salim II. the Sultan's body was taken back to Istanbul, while his heart, liver, and some other organs were buried in Turbek, outside Sigedvar.